Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So I talked to two local community banks today about my 14-unit apartment complex and my 5-unit apartment complex that my property manager on my 20-unit apartment complex brought me. So, she brought me 18-unit apartment complex 2 miles away from my 20-unit apartment complex, which I was super excited about. But that person's already under contract, so I'm actively monitoring that deal because that's the one I really want. But in the interim, I just said, hey, let me take a look at the 14 unit. Let me take a look at the 5 unit and see how the numbers can make sense. So I looked up the property on PropStream. And what's really nice about PropStream is that you could see, who the owner is, how long have they owned the deal, is it financed, what bank are they using, what's the loan amount, and what other properties they own. So it's kind of creepy. It's like kind of cyber sleuthing in a way, but you can find a lot of information about the owner and the property from there, so you know how to do your negotiations. So I was a little bummed to find out he had a loan on the property, and he had, I think the value of the property was about $525K, which is what he bought it at. So his property tax information was on there, his purchase price was on there. So I knew all that information, and I saw his loan amount. It's 360 months in terms of their term of the loan. I saw the loan amount, and it kind of bummed me out because I was like, well, he bought this, or he refinanced this deal for about $525K. So I said, okay, so I know at minimum his break even, or he has to make a little more than $525K, would be to sell this at a higher price. So he wants to sell this for around $660K, which is about $47K per door. So I just said, all right, well, let me take this deal to my lender. So I asked for the T12 and the rent roll. And at a first glance, what I do is I look at the rent roll, and I saw on average it's about $8,200 a month in rent on the rent roll. And I looked at the T12, and you can see the total rent for the whole year for the past 12 months. And it was around $100,000 in gross rental income. So you divide that by 12, it was around $8,000. So it checks out, right? So I always compare if the T12, the total gross rent for the year divided by 12 matches the rent roll. That means it's good occupancy and good stability. So that's why I checked first. So that checked green. That was a green flag for me. That was good, right? And then the next thing I look at is the expense, and this is where I had a little bit red flag. Like literally, he only had like $13,000 in expense. But I know he's self-managing the property, some units himself. He's doing his own repairs, and the insurance wasn't on there. The property tax wasn't on there. So I just said, well, I underwrite it at 50%. But when I talked to my lender, he said that, well, they typically underwrite this deal at 35% expense ratio. So, that helped me know how they underwrite, so that I can kind of do the math and, work backwards. So from here, talking to the lender, he said that, okay, he's like, you know what? So I sent the lender my T12, my rent roll. He's like, you know what? Based on these numbers, the cash flow looks great, but let's crunch the numbers of underwriting, right? So what he did was, I just said, hey, for me, the offer price I'm looking at is around $550K. And he just said, okay, well, these are our assumptions for the loan. So he's going to assume 20% down, right? This loan is going to be amortized over 20 years. So with local community banks, they're typically amortized over 15, 20 years. So your monthly loan payments can be higher, right? Whereas if it's amortized over 30 years, your monthly loan payment is lower. And the interest rate is prime plus 0.5%. So prime today in November of 2024 is about 8%. So your interest rate is about 8.5%. And the term was about 3 to 5 years. And basically, they would want 20% down. And they want a debt service coverage ratio of greater than 1.25. So for me personally, I like a 1.3 debt service coverage ratio to give myself a little cushion. So now it's just math at this point. So to calculate the debt service coverage ratio, you need to know your net operating income, which is your income minus your expense, divided by, so that's annualized, divided by the annualized cost of your monthly debt service, right? So at this point, so you can do some math here. So let's just say I offer around $550K, so I would put 20% down. So, at that point, my down payment would be, what is that, about 110K. So I'd put about 110K down. My loan would be 440K. And what I would do is I would go type Google mortgage calculator, right? And something will pop up and you'll put in 440 for the loan amount. Amortization is 20 years and 8.5% interest rate. So now you're going to see your monthly mortgage costs, and then you're going to times that by 12, right? And then you're going to take your net operating income. So remember, on this deal, he had a gross rent of $100,000, and the lender will underwrite at 35% expense ratio, but let's just do 40% for simplicity, because realistically, my expense ratio, I think it's gonna be about 50%. So that's gonna be $60,000 NOI, right? So if you have a $60,000 NOI and your monthly debt service, I think it's about $4,600 a month or something like that, or no, sorry, it's $46,000 total a year. So now you take $60,000, divide that by $460,000, and then that's how you calculate your debt service coverage ratio. And I think it comes out to be about 1.25 or 1.3, something between that. So at that point, that's my max offer price that I could offer based on the lender's underwriting terms, right? So once I have that, it's like my offer is $550, but the downside is, how much did this guy buy this deal for back in 2020? He bought this for $525. So literally, after he pays all the closing costs, pays the realtor fees, he's gonna come out of this deal losing money, right? Because he bought for $525, he's selling for $550. So it's not gonna work, unfortunately, right? So I just said, well, unless he just wants to take a loss on the deal, I'll gladly buy it at $550. He's gonna have to pay the realtor, I'm gonna have to pay the realtor. He's gonna pay closing costs, which is about 10%. So, he's gonna make $25K, but after he's gonna spend another $50K in terms of all the fees. So he's gonna actually come out of pocket $25,000. So that's why he wants to sell it for, $660, right? But based on $660, I cannot make the lender's underwriting work unless I do a large down payment, which I don't want to do, right? Because if I do a large down payment, I have to be maybe 30, 40, 50% to get whatever the loan amount's for 40. If you want 660, then I have to put down 220K down payment, which I don't want to do, right? Like for me, when I buy real estate, I want to leverage, right? So that I can have a more aggressive DSCR so that I can cash flow, right? That's always my objective when I buy real estate. So, I brought that back to my property manager and said, hey, this is how the local community bank underwrote this deal. And, the best offer I can do is $550. And, I know that the seller's not going to bite on that. But another thing I'm trying to get to is I know what his loan terms are. I think he locked in a 3.75% interest rate back in 2020. And I don't know what term he has. Maybe it's, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. I don't know what that is. But an option is I can take over his loan, right? I can continue paying him through a servicer using my insurance escrow or my property management escrow account as a servicer to issue payments to him. So let's say his loan payment, I'm just making it up, is let's say $3,000. Well, the escrow account for my property manager can pay him $3,000, and then I can pay him whatever is on top of that, right? So let's just say, for sake of this example, I give him $660, or I give him $650 for his price, right? And let's just say his loan is $400,000 for easy math. So there's a $250,000 discrepancy, right? So if I assume his loan, I still have to come out of pocket $250,000 if I want to do a larger down. But what I would do, because I don't want to do a large down, would be I said, hey, can you sell or carry second? Maybe I only want to put $100,000 down. Can you sell or carry second? $150K. So not only am I going to pay you, let's say 5% interest on your $150K in second position, but I'm going to cover your monthly loan payment, right? So that's how you make it a win-win situation where I can get my low down payment, but it still has to cash flow and still has to make sense, right? So I would look, okay, if his current loan payment, add that to $150K, seller carry second, 5% interest, does it still make sense for this property, right? So that's what I would try to pitch the seller to this deal. So, that's kind of what I talked to my lender about. So those are kind of my options. So what the property manager said, well, what happens if you just add the 5 units as well and you buy as a bundle deal, package deal, and see if he'd give you a discount if you bought all 19 units. So I did the same math, right? I just added the annual income from the 5 units, factor in 4% expense, it's gonna be a bigger loan, calculate my DSCR, and then I figured my total purchase price for all 19 units, the 14 unit plus the 5 units would be about $700,000, right? So if I put 20% down, it's $140K down. But I think what he wanted was north of $900,000 for both. So he's in the cut down $900,000 on terms of the price, or $200,000 in terms of the price, right? Or do something creative where I can give him the price, but I either am assuming his loan, or if he owns it free and clear, then I would do seller financing. So that's how I would kind of skin this cat in this deal. So I think I just told my property manager that and said, hey, would he bite on that deal? And maybe she's gonna talk, or maybe she knows that he's not gonna bite. So that's what I just kind of explained to her. And then I don't think she's as strong in explaining to him, but I'm hoping to set up a call to talk to him about it. But I'm not as crazy about these deals. I mean, I do like the 14 unit a little bit better than the or it's 7 duplexes technically, not all next to each other on the same APN. So they're all 14 units. But that's the deal that I am more interested in. But I'm just really selfishly hoping that I'm just making offers on this to make it known that I am serious. But I'm hoping that the 18 unit falls out of escrow so that I can make an offer on that one. Because that one, I like that deal more, right? It has more upside on that deal versus the other two are kind of they're kind of already at market. And I don't want to overpay. I just want to pay based on the numbers. So anyways, hopefully this gives you some value as to how I'm kind of making offers on this 14 unit as well as this 5 unit apartment complex and my conversation with the lender that I've had, right? So that you can learn from my experience and my mistakes. Anyways, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you want to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance and some mentorship, check out my mentorship program down below. If you want to join my Making Multifamily Money School community, link down below as well. We like to share our experiences there, and it's a great community of like-minded investors. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.